Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Listen, follow me on any social media network that you want. Okay, I'm on all of them. Just look for my name. Call or text me 949-415-6256 or email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll get back to all of you guys and all your questions. Next week, I want to do a couple videos, and we're going to have a webinar on Tuesday about 12 months to 7 figures in clinical research. So how you can actually and realistically get to $1 million in gross revenue for your research clinic in 1 year. Okay, it's going to be an interesting webinar, half an hour long. I'll probably send the email out Monday, email reminder for the webinar on Tuesday. So I'm going to talk a lot about business stuff in the next couple of weeks, and a lot of you guys have actually been requesting that. So I had a few calls today for some clients, some potential clients. As you may know, I do a lot of consulting where I help research clinics either get more studies or negotiate budgets better, recruit patients, recruit doctors, or I help people just like start a research clinic from scratch. So one of the themes I keep getting is, hey, how much can I realistically make? And the answer is you can do really well. I mean, it's not very difficult to get 6 figures, to make 6 figures a year for yourself with only like 1 or 2 studies, right? I deal with some doctors out here in California. They only have 2 studies, and they gross $200,000 in revenue a year from the studies. Then they have like their coordinator that they pay 50 grand, so that's 150. And then remember, there's 2 doctors doing this, okay? 150 plus other expenses, so their profit is about 100 grand, and that's being very liberal with the expenses, right? You can certainly tighten it up more than that. So they each take home 50, but if it was 1 doctor, or let's say they did 4 studies instead of 2, they would each get 100 grand. So you can do that continuously. You don't need many studies to make $100,000 a year if you're willing to do the work or keep the expenses really low. So another guy I'm dealing with, he's going to be the coordinator and the owner, and he's partnered with a doctor. So their plan is to get 4 studies a year, gross $400,000 a year, and profit $250. So they'd each take $125K home after all expenses, and that's very possible, right? Sites are doing this all the time. The hard part is being consistent with it year after year after year. And another place where people go wrong is sometimes they get overzealous and they try to expand too quickly, and then it becomes less and less profitable, and before you know it, you're actually losing money on trials because your overhead got so big you're not able to retain your staff, or you've overhired, and then we have a downturn in the economy and they don't want to get rid of their employees, naturally, because they have a heart, and they're not willing to make those tough business decisions, and they're not able to get more studies, so of course less profitable. So my point of all this is it is very realistic. I didn't say easy, I said realistic, to make 6 figures a year in research. You got to know going into it, what kind of business do you want? Do you want to create a lifestyle business where you're going to be doing all the work and just you're okay with 100 grand every year, or 150, maybe 200 every year? If you get lucky with an inpatient study, you might net 300 to 350 that year. Are you okay doing that, or are you ambitious like I am? I'm super ambitious. It might be one of my downfalls. I mean, I've grown companies to where like we could not contain our expenses anymore because I was trying to branch out, and of course I was young. I was like in my mid-20s at that time. I've learned a lot since then, but that can also be your downfall. You got to know who you are before you get into it and what you want out of it. Do you want to create like a huge network of sites and gross like tens of millions of dollars a year? And because the rewards are obviously much greater, but so is the risk, right? Or are you okay with just conservatively getting $100,000 every year? Both are possible. Obviously, one is riskier than the other, and only you know your risk tolerance and your desires for what you want to get out of this business. But as a good metric, each real study, of course some are a lot more, some pay a lot less, but each real phase 2 through 3 study where you enroll, randomize between 8 to 10 patients in each study should gross you about $100,000 for each study. That's an easy metric. Oftentimes it's a lot more than that. Oftentimes it's a lot less. But that's a good metric, $100K per study with decent enrollment. So just use that metric, that very simple metric, to do some simple math and figure out what you want to gross, what you want to net, what your expenses will be, right? Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com, looking forward to talking more about this topic next week, right? Stay tuned. Bye-bye.